Tell us a little bit about what that article was, why you wrote it, a little bit more on that, please.
So that one was I'm guessing it's the one that says, "Hi, my name is Iris and I'm bipolar," right?
Yes.
And now I would change it because I remember when I wrote that, someone was like, "No, you're not. You're Iris. Bipolar is not who you are. You're Iris Lopez and you have bipolar disorder." And I was like, I didn't think of it that way, You're mental, and that's one thing everyone has to realize. A person's mental illness is not who they are. It's just a part of them, but it doesn't define the person. So that one I wrote, that took a lot. I remember I had it saved on my desktop forever. And my boyfriend at the time, I remember I published it, and I didn't even tell him I published it, but he knew about everything I struggled with. And when I published, I was at work one day and I just had a horrible day, and I was like, I'm going to publish it. Talk about my experiences when I was younger and how I didn't know what was going on in my mind, and my parents didn't either, because I come from a Latina family where just get some Vicks or take some Tylenol, drink some Sprite, you're fine, or you're just going through your emotions. So it wasn't until I was older when I realized what, mental health was, and that there's, there might be something wrong with you. And I posted that in 2016.
You were how old? Wait a second.
How old am I right now? I'm 33.
Were you 27? I'm
Yeah,
really bad with numbers. 26,
I was in my late
26.
20s.
Okay.
Yeah, around there somewhere.
You had to be 28 though.
Could have been 28.
Yes, because you're specific about being diagnosed at 28.
Okay.
So, just to remind you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I forgot my age. No, and I posted that, and I honestly, the second I posted it, so many responses came in. I thought I was going to you think people, when you talk about it, people are going to think like, oh, she's weird. No, everyone's like, me too. I dealt with this too. I dealt with this too. It was opening a conversation that no one was, everyone was too afraid to talk about. And, for me, that can, I guess in a sense, I am successful. I opened a conversation that many people didn't want to talk about in our business. I'm the girl on TV. You're supposed to be perfect. And I did get some backlash from bosses that say you need to watch what you post. There's a fine line. But in my mind, I was like, how can we have people talk about, I have diabetes, I have cancer, I have someone with Alzheimer's, but you can't let me talk about mental illness. Mental illness kills people, So why can't I talk about it? And I'm so glad that I didn't let them stop me, and I kept talking about it. And from there, I got involved with NAMI, National Alliance on Mental Illness. And from there, I just, I take pride in people knowing me, recognizing me by the girl who's open about mental health.
Yeah, it takes a lot of courage. You also not talk about being diagnosed at 28, but you talk about your experience when you were at a young age. You said that at 13. Take us back a little bit. At what age did you know that, maybe this is not normal? I know you went to see this, what kind of dog?
It was the therapist, or actually my parents. So the stories that I remember, my parents, I guess they didn't know, but, my parents, they loved me so much. They were like, maybe we should take her to a therapist. But I was just stubborn. I was moody. Still am. And I would just get in angry rages, I had a great childhood. So it was like, what could be wrong with my childhood? And so one time I remember they were like, we're going to go out for ice cream. And it was only me. Like, this is weird. And I specifically remember the area. It was like a place near Cielo Vista. And it was already like in the night. And yeah, they took me in, and I was like, oh, this is a therapist. This is weird.
So there's no ice cream.
Yeah. So we're not going to have ice cream. I don't even remember if we got ice cream afterwards. But I just remember, I spoke to her. And that's actually the only time they took me. But I think it felt nice to like talk about my emotions. Sometimes that's all people need. You don't need medicine. You don't, sometimes you just need a talk, because when you leave those thoughts, that can just mess you up. It can really mess you up.
Yeah, especially in our culture.
Yeah.
There is no such thing as, hey, wait, before you talk negative about this person, have you realized that maybe there's again, a condition that she's suffering from? But no, we always label el loquito, la loquita, está bien, or so papá. Like, there's always something, right? Instead of like, we never had that window of, hey, there's a possibility that she needs help for this, right?
That it's not her, it's her mind playing tricks on her or something.
Exactly. Now, you were diagnosed at 28. we recently had Diego Robot. I don't know if you're
Yeah, I
familiar
saw
with who, yeah. That he also said he was diagnosed at 32, 33, which is obviously already late. And that helped him a lot with not only taking the right medications, but being open about it. And he described his experience. In your case, how come it took so long for you to be diagnosed with that and talk, yeah, and talk to us about the experience once you found out, okay, this is
what it is. It was actually a journey, because even when I was diagnosed, I wasn't really diagnosed properly. And that's, I guess I'll get back to that right now. So what kind of flared it up was, after I had my son at 23, I didn't handle or deal with my postpartum. I threw everything aside because I was a mom now, and I needed to suck it up and not cry anymore, not be sad. And actually
Were you a single mom, if you don't mind me asking?
For a few months, we were together, but the relationship, wasn't good. Now we are great. It took us about 3 years, but now co-parenting with my little boy's dad is the best thing ever. I wish every separated parent could experience that, because it's a beautiful thing when you're able to discuss things and just be friendly with the other person and their significant others. So now it's great. But back then I wasn't able to deal, I was dealing with, being a single mom, not being with the person I loved. But I think that's actually what started to try and not be left alone with my thoughts, work. I would just work, be with my son, work. That's when I started finishing school. I would work those 2 jobs at the radio station, at Logan's, and then when I started working in TV, that's when, you put yourself up there for people to judge you. And I realized I'm not okay, man, with these, these comments, this work. It was just different, and it messed with me mentally so much. I would just break down at times. I would this and that. And then I had a friend who was like, you should go, see a psychiatrist. Just, and he took me to the psychiatrist. He even waited there in the waiting room just in case, because he understood too, people feel weird there, like you're being judged. And that's, I think, one thing people, now I could care less. I'll be in the, psychiatrist, therapist office, and be like, yeah, I'm here because I'm taking care of my mental health. Just like we take care of our body, we got to take care of that too. So I went to a therapist first, and actually now that I'm more educated on, mental health and everything, I probably should have seen a therapist first, because when I went to the psychiatrist, and so, gave him my symptoms, and bipolar 2 disorder is what I got diagnosed with. I was on medication for a few years, but I noticed, the medication kind of had a different effect on me. I don't know how to explain it, but
was it side effects, or was it just not what you expected?
It wasn't really doing much for me, but because it wasn't really treating me for the right reasons. So I was diagnosed with bipolar 2 disorder. Then I actually tapered myself off of it, which the psychiatrists, doctors will tell you never to do that. And I shouldn't have, because I had, when I stopped taking the medication, I would get numb all over my body, and I would pass out sometimes. Like, it was just tough. It was like a person who's on drugs, how they have withdrawals. I was having withdrawals with that, but I was like, I need to taper myself off of this, because I don't think this is right. And then finally I went to a therapist too, and she did all the tests. Like, it was a process. Come back. I think I was in a room for 2 hours doing a test. And she just spoke to me, this and that. And she said, okay, I see signs of bipolar in you. I also see signs of ADHD. My son has ADHD. She's like, but I think your real issue is anxiety and depression. And sure enough, yeah, I'm on meds for anxiety, and I can feel it working. I don't get as anxious as much. My emotions, I'm able to handle them more. So it took from, 26 to 33. It was a process, but I didn't give up on the process, because I knew eventually someone's going to get it right. I have to go to doctor's offices. I have to do this and that. But now I can say this is what was wrong with me. But it took a while.
Wow. How difficult was it with the career that you chose, what you do? Because, again, you have to deal with the audience, public comments, stressful deadlines.
Oh, yeah.
And then having this condition.
Well, a lot of people in news have anxiety. A bunch of my friends, they'll have panic attacks, anxiety attacks. You just figure out a way to deal with it, unfortunately, but sometimes there's people who can't, and you need the medication, just to better yourself. And for me, I felt that I needed the medication because I was just too emotional. I just didn't like the person I was when I would have my moods. When I was depressed, I was mad at everyone. And I was like, it's not their fault I'm dealing with something, so let me take care of it so I can be a pleasant person. But a lot of people, a lot of people in news will tell you, they've got anxiety. They get depression too because the business is so stressful, so demanding, and sometimes it takes you away from your family. So then it creates other issues. So
and having to deal with this on a daily basis, being on air, smiling, making sure that people are happy to see you on TV, and that you're dealing with something that, again, not a lot of people knew at that point. Wow, mad respect.